The great debate. Should you run Facebook ads or YouTube ads to scale your high ticket info and coaching business? Well, in today's video, I'm going to share 5 reasons why here at our marketing firm, we actually prefer YouTube ads over Facebook ads for scaling high ticket info. So after spending multiple 7 figures on both Facebook and YouTube ads for our high ticket info clients, we have a bias. Now, if you don't know who I am, if you're new to the channel, my name is Sebastian Robeck, and I exited my 7-figure coaching business back in 2021. I then worked as a CMO for multiple 8-figure a year info brands like Cole Gordon and Closers.io, Traffic and Funnels, and several more. I have personally built and ran multiple 8-figure marketing teams. And at this point, between myself and my team, we've managed well over $50 million on both Facebook and YouTube in spend for high ticket info clients. So let's dive right into a detailed comparison and a breakdown as to why we prefer YouTube versus Facebook for scaling ads for high ticket info. So the way I like to look at YouTube and Facebook is, this might sound a little bit weird to some of you, but we see it as like both platforms have their own personalities. So YouTube to us is really the responsible adult who's relatively chill and relaxed about most things. Whereas Facebook is, we see them as the angry teenager who craves attention and wants to mess everything up. So what I mean by that is what we found is typically on Facebook, you're going to run into a lot more ad account shutdowns, ad rejections, just random compliance issues, business managers being restricted. Whereas on YouTube, we've just found that generally we're smooth sailing more often than not. Secondly, as I mentioned, you have these unpredictable account shutdowns. So just out of nowhere versus on YouTube, that just rarely happens. With Facebook, you also have a lot of regular policy updates, algorithm changes. Whereas again, on Google and YouTube, you do have some algorithm updates. So it's not that those things don't happen. It's just that these out of the blue, massive updates to the traffic platform happen far less frequently on YouTube and Google than they do with Facebook. Let's dive into the first main reason why we prefer YouTube over Facebook for scaling high ticket info and coach, which is compliance and account stability. So on Facebook, we kind of call it the sleeping with one eye open problem, right? Which is like, you're always wondering and you're going to bed as the founder thinking, shit, is our account, even going to be running by tomorrow morning? Because ad accounts will literally just disappear without warning. Business managers get shut down randomly, and you get no reason as to why that is. So you don't even have anything to work with oftentimes, and as a result, you have no way to even try and remedy the issue. Just poof, gone, right? Like your business manager could literally disappear overnight, and there goes, potentially the main traffic driver for your business. Whereas with YouTube, this is what we've seen is I actually cannot remember the last time we had any major compliance issue on YouTube. We rarely get ad disapprovals. It does happen from time to time, so it's not like it never happens. It's just far less frequent. And also, full-blown account shutdowns on YouTube are extremely rare. Like I can count on one hand the amount of times we've had a full ad account shutdown on YouTube. It almost never happens, quite frankly. And so what that means is overall, there's just a much more stable, predictable sort of relationship you can have with the platform as opposed to always being semi kind of anxious and on edge about whether or not your ads are going to be running. And a question that we always, we literally will sometimes ask clients, and we often recommend that you ask yourself as a founder is like, do you want to stake your business on the unpredictable kind of temper tantrums of Facebook's algorithm? Reason number 2 is campaign stability. So Facebook oftentimes is sort of the equivalent of having to day trade your ads because you'll have campaigns that are crushing one day, dead the next. You have a lot of volatility and these big performance swings where suddenly you're in KPI for a week, and then the next 4 or 5 days, your numbers look completely off, and they're just, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Things are constantly changing. You're having to relaunch stuff all the time. There's just a lot more, again, general volatility. And it kind of forces you both as a media buyer, or if you're still, if you're a founder still running your ads, you kind of have to become a day trader with your ads. You're always constantly hovering, always making changes. And it's just honestly in the long term, especially as you scale, it's a tiring and unsustainable approach. Now, I want to be clear here. I'm not saying we don't run Facebook ads. I'm not saying it's a shitty platform altogether, because it's certainly not. And we have plenty of clients where we're spending multiple 4 and 5 figures a day on traffic, and it's very stable at scale because we know what we're doing. But for a lot of people, this is still the issue. Even for us, there's still times where Facebook is just being a pain in the ass, which is why we don't like having all of our eggs in the Facebook ad basket. Now with YouTube, on the other hand, it's typically a lot more of a set it and optimize situation. So campaigns in general are way more stable from what we found. There's less fluctuation in performance. There's less fluctuation in the quality of the types of people coming through your funnel, which is incredibly important. And there's often just less stress when you're running YouTube ads, which is the best part for us because there's just more predictable stability, there's more predictable results and more predictable quality. And so as a result, the optimization and the managing of YouTube traffic is it's just a lot less stressful. Reason number 3 is scaling stability. So this is a little bit different than the point I just made, but is incredibly important. So when it comes to scaling Facebook, it's easy to scale initially, right? So you can go from like $50 a day to a few $100s a day very, very easily. But as you start to go from $400 or $500 a day up to multiple thousands of dollars per day, it just becomes a lot less simple and easy to scale, but not just to scale the ads, because you could just increase the budget on your campaigns. You can dupe stuff out, right? But what I'm talking about is maintaining the profitability and the stability at scale because of the volatility I just mentioned a minute ago. So what often happens is you might scale your budgets, but then you see your performance take a huge downward spiral, right? Like you just increase your winning campaign that's been crushing for the last 3 months. You increase the budget from $1,000 a day to, let's say, $1,500 a day, and then all of a sudden it's like it just throws the entire thing out of whack. And so as a result, what also happens is you see your lead, call, and your just general quality of client takes a hit. And really what matters the most is as you try and scale Facebook, because of the issues I'm talking about, it ends up just butchering your P&L at these higher spend levels. Now, on the flip side, what we have found time and time again when it comes to scaling YouTube ads is the campaigns are extremely stable. Like I'm not even joking. We've literally had dozens of instances where we have scaled campaigns from just a few $100s a day up to $5,000 a day within the span of maybe a week maximum, which is not normal at all for Facebook. And when we do that, we will actually often see the performance improve as we scale the ads on YouTube because we're giving the algorithm more data, and so it gets better results. And that's just not what we see as often on Facebook. You can make these, if you make these big scale jumps, you see a huge rocking of the boat in your performance. Whereas again, on YouTube, we've had campaigns hold at $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 a day for months on end with very, very little fluctuation or dips in the performance. And so because of this extremely high level of stability, it just makes managing the YouTube traffic at high spend levels much easier and much simpler and less stressful. Again, reason number 4 that we prefer YouTube ads over Facebook ads is better targeting. So on Facebook, you obviously have multiple targeting options, and as the algorithm is developing, what we're finding is targeting as it used to stand is just becoming less and less effective. So we're having a lot more instances where we're just going open and broad targeting. So there's no interest, there's no lookalikes, there's no income filters or anything like that. But even still, even with how smart the algorithm on Facebook is, on YouTube, there's just a lot more variety of types of targeting that we can employ. And we see such significantly better results when we use these different kinds of targeting options because on YouTube, it's all built on Google's data infrastructure, right? So YouTube's built on Google's insane billions of searches, whatever it is per day. Like the amount of data that's on there is just absolutely off the chain. And so you have things like your in-market audiences, which are by far some of our most profitable, similar URL visitors. You've got similar app users, life event targeting. So you can literally target people who were recently married or who just landed a new job. Like the level of granular that you can get is pretty insane. And what we have found, like on Facebook, for example, if you try and tighten up the targeting and you go like a big interest stack and you really narrow things down, you see an instant increase in your cost and you're paying a premium for those audiences and they don't scale very well. Whereas on YouTube, because of, in my opinion, my belief is that the quality of the data, because it's built on Google, is just much better. What we see is that even when we go narrow with this targeting setup, we still see very good results both in the beginning and at scale. And one of the biggest benefits of this is because the targeting is far more precise, we often see that the quality of the prospects and the leads and the calls coming through for our clients on YouTube is much higher than on Facebook. 5 that we prefer YouTube over Facebook is what I just started to hit on, which is the traffic quality and the intent. So oftentimes what is the case on Facebook is you usually get a mixed bag of prospects. Some are decent, some are not so decent. Even if you have really good pixel cleanliness and pixel optimization and you're not feeding bad data back, you can still have plenty of shitty leads coming from Facebook. And you probably had this happen before where your sales team is like, guys, how did these people even get through the funnel? Like this person doesn't even know what we do. They're like some weird, way out of the range, industry that isn't even remotely related to what you do. And so often you have these inconsistent levels of intent and traffic quality. Whereas on YouTube, generally speaking, again, not 100% of the time, but I would say probably 80 to even 90% of the time, the traffic quality overall is just much higher. People are on YouTube, they're sifting through information, they're in an active learning state, they're looking for new things that they don't already know about a particular topic. So it's just different than the state that somebody's in on Facebook. They have higher intent levels more consistently. And as I said, people are not only in an active searching state for information, but they're also, as a result, in an active open state to receiving information. So your ads are more likely to be better received by people on YouTube than on Facebook, especially if you're being very specific with who you're speaking to. And on YouTube, we very, very rarely hear from our clients, guys, our lead quality has just gone to shit. Whereas on Facebook, you can have 2 weeks of amazing quality. The sales team is like flipping their shit because they're like, guys, what did you do on the ad side? It's amazing. Please keep doing it. Then all of a sudden, the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they're like, what the fuck happened? Meanwhile, nothing changed on the ad side. It's just very normal for that to happen on Facebook. So to wrap this up here is our sort of balanced take, if you will. And here's our position on Facebook specifically. Do we think that Facebook is dead? Absolutely not. Do we believe that you should never advertise on it? Mostly no. Is it sustainable as the only traffic source for you to scale your high ticket info and coaching business? Definitely not. I would not recommend being solely reliant on Facebook ads. So our recommendation is Facebook should definitely be a part of your strategy, and it's very, very good for quick, rapid fire testing, especially if you're testing a new offer, a new VSL funnel, new ads. If you want to just test things very quickly at low budget, Facebook is very good for that, and actually it tends to be better for that than YouTube. But it should not be your entire paid strategy, because as you scale, long-term diversification is going to become absolutely vital for your info business. And in our experience, after spending well over $50 million between both platforms, YouTube more often than not will provide that stability at scale that you need, much more than Facebook will. So if you haven't already started testing YouTube ads, I highly, highly suggest giving it a try. Start with your proven offers. So start with your absolute best performing creatives, your best performing funnels, and your VSLs, whatever you're running. Start with whatever you already know is working on Facebook, and then test them on YouTube with more educational, value-driven content and value-driven ads. And a very easy way for you to start running YouTube ads, if you're not already, is if you have a YouTube channel, which if you don't, you definitely should for your info business. But if you have a YouTube channel, you can just very simply start with YouTube retargeting. So you can retarget people who watch your YouTube videos organically with a very simple retargeting ad pushing to your main core funnel. With YouTube, though, the one thing I will say, and this is a big differentiating point between YouTube and Facebook, is Facebook, you can get data very, very quickly. So it's like you get the hits of dopamine a lot faster, but you also see things fall off a cliff a lot faster. Whereas on YouTube, it's a lot more of a slow starter. It's a slow burn. So you're not going to see insane results if it's your first time launching YouTube ads just in the beginning. So you need to make sure you give your YouTube ads enough time and budget to optimize. Don't expect it to right out the gate perform amazingly. Literally, I would say give your first 3 to 5 days, just chalk it up to expecting little to nothing and just wait. There's that hump you have to get over, but once you get over it, your YouTube ads will 100% start to optimize very, very nicely and will hold as you scale. And I promise you'll be glad that you tested some YouTube ads for your business. So I hope you found this video helpful. Again, if you're the founder of a high ticket info business and a couple $100,000 a month, you're looking to scale to high 6 and 7 figures a month, but you're not sure what's holding you back from getting there and how to break through those bottlenecks, then I highly recommend you pick up the $1 Million a Month KPI dashboard. It's right there in the description. It's completely free. It's the exact tool that we use internally for all of our clients to not only get a clear snapshot of where marketing and sales performance exists currently, but also you're going to get a growth modeling tool that will allow you to simulate what needs to happen inside the business and what your numbers need to look like in order for you to hit your desired revenue target. And lastly, if you're curious about how we scale our clients' high ticket coaching and info businesses up to 6 and 7 figures a month by completely taking over their marketing departments for them and employing our conversion ecosystem, then I would highly recommend you check out the short explainer video that breaks that all down and how we achieve that. So again, hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you in the next one.